Hi guys, it's Zoe, and today I'm interviewing my dad on what we can do to from middle school to high school about social problems, mental problems, and family problems, and also finding our passion about what we can do in life. Because honestly, life is coming to us so fast.
It's very fast.
It's very fast. We had a conversation about what I was going to do for college the other day.
I know. And I don't think I even thought about college until I was halfway through high school.
Like, I'm thinking about this in the 8th grade. Like, I don't even know.
You guys have to deal with a lot of crazy stuff that I didn't have to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Oh. Okay, but I should probably introduce you. This is my dad, Justin Stoddard. He works at the Air Force Academy, and he teaches military strategy and does workshops on resiliency and just overcoming adversity and what we can do to find our passion in life.
Yeah, that's about right.
Yeah, and you also did 20 years in the military. Thank you for your service.
In the Army.
In the Army.
Yeah.
He did 20 years in the Army. Thank you for your service.
Thanks. I appreciate that. You're welcome.
Anything you want to say before we get into it?
I just think this is really cool. This is, kind of an idea that you and I had. It's kind of just ask each other questions and stuff, and this is kind of raw and just kind of we'll see how it goes, and
yeah.
And if it's interesting, then we'll do more of these. It'll be fun.
Tell me down below if you want us to do more of these. Because honestly, your opinion is what keeps these things going. Because if we don't get any comments, then what do we do?
They could ask questions.
You guys can even ask questions.
We'll answer your questions instead of just our questions. Because we'll answer our questions too. We could answer their questions.
Okay, so leave a like and leave any questions down below and tell us if we should make any more of these. What is resiliency?
What is resiliency? That's a great question. So, because there's so many different words out there that kind of sound like resiliency, and there's the word perseverance, and then there's the word hardiness. We got to be hardy.
There's just really big words that no one really understands. Like, people have a concept of it.
Right.
People really don't know.
And then there's being gritty and everything. So I like the word resiliency. And being resilient is the ability to withstand, adapt, and grow in the face of challenges, adversities, and stressors. And each one of those words is good. So if you think about if somebody were to throw a medicine ball at you, or you had to have a weight, when they tossed it to you, you'd have to withstand it first. And then if you had to carry it around, you'd kind of adapt to it. Yes. And then after a while, you get used to it because you would get stronger and you'd kind of grow from it. And so that's really what resiliency is. It's this process where we, there's stressors and there's challenges and there's hard times and they hit us. And we got to figure out what to do with that. We got to withstand it, and then we got to kind of adapt to this thing, and then we got to grow and learn from it. So we know what to do when it happens the next time. Because, I know you're 13 and I'm 48, but let me tell you, the challenges, they don't stop. They don't stop.
They change. 2020 was a big challenge for all of us. Oh my gosh,
2020 was ridiculous. For me, it was for you too. I'm 48,
I did
you're 13.
Online school.
So how old were you 2 years ago?
I was 11 2 years ago.
We can do math. Okay, and I was 46.
You're 46.
Okay, and for a 46-year-old and an 11-year-old, 2020 was brutal.
It was. It hit us like a pile of rocks.
Yeah, that was...
I remember Roblox got boring. That's when Roblox got boring, and Roblox never becomes boring for young people.
And I had to figure out how to do all of my work on Zoom calls. And
Zoom was the most brutal
virtual part. The only time we ever talked about virtual anything was when we were talking about robots and future space
virtual reality
and stuff like that. But virtual reality, that's how we lived and had to work. There was a lot of changes going on.
What can we do when we're having adversity with social problems or problems with our family or our just mental health?
Yeah. So don't suffer in silence and talk to somebody. Now, some people really don't have anybody to talk to.
Be that person. Be that person.
Well, yeah, definitely be open. But let's just say, for example, that there's somebody out there that feels like I really don't have anybody to talk to. Really can't. Okay. I love writing things down.
Journalism.
Journaling or writing a diary and stuff like that. And even, I was with a group of guys one time and group of veterans, and one of the things that we did, and you got to be careful at home, because you don't want to light anything on fire. But sometimes they're worried about writing. Sometimes people are worried about writing things down because they're worried somebody's going to find it and read it, right?
Like, and hear about like all the problems and like use it against them, like
Yeah,
talking
exactly.
about all that.
But psychologists and people have talked about the benefit of writing this stuff down. And so when I was with these veterans, we had written down some of these problems and challenges that we wanted to let go and things that we were struggling with. And then we all got around a little portable fireplace and we lit it on fire and we burned them.
I think that's very therapeutic.
Because we wrote it
actually.
down. We wrote it down. It gave us a chance to think about it. But then we like burned it, or you could like rip it up into tiny pieces or shred it or something. You don't have to use fire. Don't burn your house down. Kids, don't try this at home. I've gone to therapy and counseling almost my whole life because, and I'm going to say this because this is important. You got to remember that therapy and counseling is for anybody that wants to be better than they are. Some people think that therapy and counseling is only for broken people, or man, if I'm totally trashed and my life is falling apart.
Like, it's just good advice, and it's like,
yeah.
If you don't want to tell something to like anyone else because like you don't trust some people in your school, it's just really good to like tell a therapist. I know my therapist, like, I could tell her anything.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And if you're on the track team and you want to get faster, and so you talk to the speed coach. Well, you don't wait till you're like slow and the last one, something like that, to go talk to the speed coach, right?
You always constantly ask for advice. Right. That's what also
one
way
to
to
the gym.
be
We're constantly working out to try to get better, and psychologically, it's the same thing. So anybody that wants to be better than they are right now, if you want to be better than you are right now, go find a therapist, counselor, somebody to talk to. There's hotlines you can call on the phone where it's totally anonymous. And sometimes there's interesting people to go talk to, and there's so many people out there that want to talk to people.
I actually have a website for that. If you go to the Trevor Project, if you like look it up.
Oh yeah, I've heard of that one. That one's really good.
I've used it before.
Have you?
Yeah, like I can like text it and I can like call it if like things really bad are happening to me. 2020 was a crappy year. It was for anyone. Oh. I know I'm not special. Like everyone.
I had 2 therapists back then. Yeah. Well, so you asked me, what do you do? I mean, I can tell you what I did when I was in high school. And believe it or not, I mean, I was in high school. I know I'm 48 years old now, but I remember when I was 13 and 14 years old. I remember what it was like to be in high school.
You're in high school?
And yeah, there's problems, and there's rumors, and people call you names and they tease you about different things and stuff like that. And we talked about not suffering in silence, right? If you're ever being bullied, don't suffer in silence. Like, talk to somebody. Go get help. Bullying is not okay. Yeah, bullying is not okay in any way. Everyone, and I mean this, everyone deserves to be treated with dignity and respect. And it doesn't matter who they are, and it doesn't matter what they're doing, right? So if you're not being treated with dignity and respect, then that's a problem.
How do we find our passion?
Well, first of all, okay, so passion is not a great word, okay? Because when we think about passion, we think about love and we think about romance, and I have passion for you.
It's my passion for art. Well, also like passion for like things.
Well, right. But see, sometimes we get so caught up in this idea of the word passion because we think that passion has to be this grandiose, like life-changing thing. Like if I'm passionate about photography, that means I just take pictures of everything and I'm on my camera like all day long.
You're like Jonathan from Stranger Things.
Yeah, right. And actually researchers, this is kind of interesting. Researchers have found that when they ask most people what their passions are,
they don't know.
Guess what?
They don't know.
The vast majority of people actually say that they don't have any passions, right? Because we think that this idea of passion is something that's so beyond us, and it's something that's so great, and I'm caught up in the mundane stuff of life, so I don't have any passions. And so what I like to ask the question is, instead of asking what is your passion, I like to ask, what do you love to do? Like, if you had all the time in the world, let's say that you had like 5 days of Saturdays in a row, right? I know I'm making that up, but you understand. If you had all the time, summertime, and you had a bunch of money, and you didn't have to worry about all that kind of stuff, what do you love to do? And what do you love to do?
I love to write. I like to help special needs kids.
Yeah.
And that's it. I like to read.
Okay.
I like to read. I like to hang out with my friends, go to the mall.
Okay. So at this age for you, at 13 years old, those are some of your passions, right? Those are things that you really love to do. And we as adults, sometimes we forget that really our passions are just things that we love to do.
Things that we just love to do. People are just like, oh no, what's my passion? I don't have a passion.
Right.
Oh.
And like something that I would say that I'm passionate about, I guess, I love to go hiking. I like to go hiking up on top of mountains, and I like to get way up there and see all around me. I like to, smell the pine trees, and I did a bunch of hiking this summer. And when I'm hiking, I just feel awesome. I love it.
That's why
when I say that hiking is a
Climbing the
passion,
Mountain.
I don't know if hiking's a passion, but I really love doing it. And by the way, so you ask, like, what are we doing when we have social problems at school, and when we're struggling with teachers, or when we're struggling with parents? Yeah, let me tell you, when I was a kid, I big time struggled with my parents. Mom and Dad, if you're watching this, I struggled with you, and it's okay. It's totally okay. So I absolutely struggled with my parents. We all struggle with our parents, right? Because we're young, we're trying to figure ourselves out, and our parents typically have a lot of rules because they want to keep us safe, and they love us, and they care about us. But we always feel there's too many rules, and you don't trust me, and things like that, right? And so our passions are really those things that we love to do. Those are great things for us to go do when we're stressed out, when we're feeling anxious. So for me, for example, if I like hiking, well, I just like walking. So if I'm stressed out or having a hard time, go for a hike, go for a walk, right? Now, I can't just leave in the middle of school, or I just can't leave in the middle of work and just go for a hike, right? I get in trouble. But I can be patient for a little while and then go do something that I love to do.
Go do a really big hike. And by the way, my dad's business is called Climbing the Mountain.
Okay.
This is a way to
this.
This is a way to work it in there, because that's why you named it Climbing the Mountain.
Right, absolutely, because I love climbing mountains, and there's a whole process of discovery, like that I just thought about. But climbing mountains, and you're facing obstacles as you go, and it's not a short path; it's a long journey, and you learn things along the journey and stuff. But like, if you're stuck in your room, for some people, drawing is a passion.
Drawing is
Doodling.
a passion. That's Samantha's.
Remember when we played that doodle game where you make a doodle, and you like make a scribble, and then you turn it around, and then we have to turn it into something, and you take that picture and you turn it into something?
Yes.
You like close your eyes and you scribble on a piece of paper, and then you look at it, and then you try to turn it into something.
I remember I like to do that during quarantine when I like to draw. Yeah. I remember somewhere in my sketchbook, which I'm writing all this stuff in, I have like a bunch of things where I like doodled and like, let's see what I can turn this into. Yeah. So as our closing question, because this is the last one, do you have any advice for middle school to high school students?
Have any advice for middle school to high school students? Have fun, okay? So I know that you think you're going to have so much more fun when you're an adult. But you know what? There's no adults out there that are saying, you know what? I wish I was older. Nobody ever says that. What do we all say when we're adults? We all say, I wish I was younger so I could go back to the good old days when I had fun, right? So you're living in a lot of those days, and they may not feel like good old days sometimes, but you're going to remember these days the rest of your life. And so the first piece of advice I'd say is find ways to have fun. Good fun. Not like
going around and doing all that stuff.
Ugly to the teachers or something like that. Not that kind of fun. Like, find ways to have fun. Find ways, go to the pep rallies and be in sports and go cheer for people. And
Senior ditch day.
Senior ditch day. And, whatever it is, have fun. Legal fun, clean fun, good, healthy fun, right? So that's something I would say. Another thing I would say is don't be afraid to be yourself. So often we are trying to be something that we're not. Right? And I remember doing this in high school. Well, people will like me better if I do this.
It's so easy to do it. It's so easy.
Yeah. If I wear this jacket, then people will like me more. And if I do this, people like me more. If I do this, people like me more. And what I realized to myself was, if I change myself so that people like me more,
people don't know you.
People don't know who I am. And I'm not even going to get a chance to be myself. Right? And that's not great. And so I gotta figure out how to be myself and be comfortable with being myself. And if I'm not myself, if I'm acting like somebody else and I have a bunch of friends, they're not really my friends because they don't like me for who I am. They like me for who that other person is that I'm trying to pretend to be. And I would say when you're going through school, the last piece of advice I would give is look for things that bring you joy and that make you happy. If you're taking your history class and your teacher's talking about World War II and that just really like, wow, that's fascinating, do it. Read more about World War II. Read more about all of that stuff. If you're in a math class and the teacher starts talking about, applied math and how these things are affecting astronauts and the way airplanes fly, and you're totally intrigued, then go into that and learn. Let's say that you don't like any of your classes, but you like people. That can become a public relations person when you're an adult. And people make a lot of money being public relations people, right? If you like fixing things, right? A lot of people that work in the trades, they make all kinds of money and they make a very good living and they're doing stuff that they like to do. So I would tell kids, when you're in middle school and when you're in high school, I know sometimes we feel like we got to do what our parents are telling us to, and I'm not telling you to be disobedient, and parents are going to watch us and say, what is he saying? And yes, you have to, but work with your parents and say, well, I'd really like to do this thing. So, mom or dad, I'll do this class that you want me to do, but, also let me do this class that I want to do because I'm interested in that, and that's really interesting to me.
Guys, honestly, this is my dad. Hope he helped you learn something, and I hope he answers some of your guys' questions. If you would like to ask any questions in the comments down below, please do, because we would love to create a part 2 of this.